Hey guys, welcome back to Cat View. So today we're going to be talking about the show on Netflix, First Kill, that has unfortunately been cancelled after just one season. So let me talk about this real quick, you guys. I'm going to talk about my feelings and my thoughts and my opinions on this. So get a snack, get some water, beer, wine, vodka, whatever you like, and sit back and listen to me rant about this show. Um, let's talk about First Kill. Now, First Kill was released a few months back on Netflix. So I watch it on both. I try and vary between the Netflix that I use, the accounts, because I want to see what is enjoyed in America, what's enjoyed in different places. So from what I saw, it was highly ranked in the first, I think it was 2 to 3 weeks of its release, I believe. Now, if you guys know Netflix drops something sort of abruptly. They do minimal marketing for it. But they sort of push their lead project. So let's say they have something that drops that week, they will tend to push it all over the Netflix YouTube and then the Netflix site itself. So if you go there, it's usually plastered on the background main screen. And then it's usually number one for quite a few days because, it's right there and it sort of catches your eye. But then things tend to fade away. And so you really get to see whether something is going to be good in the long term if you follow along for the next few weeks after the first 3 days that it's been released. So usually between 3 days to 7 days, I'd say, is when you see if it starts to drop off or not. And you also get to see what audiences are reacting to and who's watching it. Again, I think this is a Netflix issue. It's always been an issue where there's so many things that are greenlit with Netflix and projects get pushed and then they just don't have the marketing for it because they have so much content that they release. Netflix is bananas. They release so much content that they just don't have the money to market it, or they just don't choose to market them properly. So you'll have something just sort of in your face, and then everyone's like, "What's this?" And then they click on it, and then it fades away. It's a flash in the pan. So there's been quite a few shows like that have come and they've gone. And there's been a few where you'll see a season or two, maybe 3 seasons if you're lucky, and then it's just the axe. Something like Santa Clarita Diet, which still breaks my soul, breaks my heart. That was such a good show, and they were just like, no more. We don't care that we left you on a cliffhanger. You'll never see this ever again. Goodbye. Farewell forever. So Netflix has been known to just destroy my soul many times. And many a time I have said, I'm done. We cannot do this anymore, Netflix. You just break my heart. But then I just go back because it's Netflix and you can't. They have too much good shit. I can't help myself. So, movie buff, right? What are you going to do? So, so going back to First Kill, this was released and I'm not going to lie to you guys. My thoughts on it were a bit cheesy, a bit ridiculous, a little bit campy. And also it's a teen lesbian vampire drama horror. I don't know, it's all over the shop, so you guys can watch it. It's there. But when I first decided to watch this, it was honestly me just browsing Netflix and I was bored, and I had seen it advertised. It was plastered there for that first week, and it was in the top 3 and it was in the top 10 and it was number 1, and I was watching it go through the motions as I browse Netflix on a daily basis because I have no life. And and I was like, okay, why not? I was bored one night, and honestly, that's what made me want to watch it. It wasn't the fact that it was a vampire show, because I've seen so many better ones than that, and we'll talk a bit about some of those later. It wasn't that it had lesbians in it, because I'm not going to just watch something because it has that in it. Even, I feel like Netflix is like, hey, the story isn't good and the characters aren't good, or I don't know the actors. I'm not going to watch it just because it's got one element that I may enjoy if the rest of it doesn't line up. I'm really specific with what I view, but I'm a film and TV buff, I should say. But I am pretty specific with what I choose to actually absorb and the content that I watch. So yeah, this didn't really stand out to me that much. But I was bored one night and I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. Now, the show itself, again, it was 1 season. I don't remember how many episodes, so I'm just going to drop it here. And that's how many episodes it was. And yeah, it was okay. It wasn't a bad show. It had some terrible special effects, and it definitely took from previous vampire projects. So the main one being The Vampire Diaries. Now, The Vampire Diaries is probably no. It is my favorite vampire property of the last decade. I want to say, at least in TV, probably in film too, unless we're going back to like Celine from Underworld. But besides that, it's gonna be Vampire Diaries. The Vampire Diaries was amazingly done. The casting was great. The acting was great. The writing was so good, and it was a continuous, like, it was just really good. It was the story, the character arc, like, it just moved in such a good direction. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was so good. And even the effects that were done in there, the special effects, they were different to other properties that had been done in the same vein, such as Twilight. You know, a lot of people compare those two. There was other shows that came after that. There were spin-off shows. There were shows that were similar that had nothing to do with those shows. And then you have this, and it's like, I joked around about this, saying that Netflix was like, okay, vampires are popular. Let's combine vampires with, I don't know, teenage drama, because like V-Wars and Euphoria, and let's just mash it together and make First Kill. Like, that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like somebody did. I feel like somebody was like sitting there and just had this thought and was like, what can we do to make people want to watch another vampire show? Like, another vampire show, really? We've got V-Wars, we've got the originals, we've got Vampire Diaries on our calendar, on Netflix, mind you, even though they weren't from Netflix, but they're on Netflix. What else can we do? Oh, like, lesbians are really cool. But like, teen lesbians, guys, come on. But there's a lot of teens on there, Stranger Things, like, all these properties. So I see where I see where they were going with this. I see the marketing idea, the little light bulb went off, and they were like, this could be cool. And it really wasn't. Like, it wasn't what it was supposed to be, clearly. So again, for me, the show was okay. I enjoyed it enough. I watched the whole season, and I watched it and I got to the point at the end of the show where I felt the same way I felt for the show Jupiter's Legacy, which also was cancelled after one season, also on Netflix, also a Netflix original. So that's how I felt. If you watched my review on Jupiter's Legacy, you can see it here if you want to watch it. It was a good show. It wasn't a bad show, but it didn't have a season 2 because it just didn't gross enough to move forward in that way. That First Kill was also the same. It was the same reason. It just wasn't getting those numbers. It wasn't getting enough audience to watch it moving forward after that 3-week period. So they just didn't have the numbers there to back up the amount of money it was going to cost to do another season. And yeah, pretty much that's why it got scrapped. So I understand that completely, especially from someone like Netflix. Again, it's a little disappointing because I would have liked to see the characters moving forward and seeing what they could have done. Like, I enjoyed it enough, like I said. It's not something I'm going to die over now because it's never coming back. But I mean, I'm a little bit bummed, I'm not going to lie. I'm disappointed that I didn't get a second season, in the same way that I was disappointed I didn't get a second season for Jupiter's Legacy. I enjoyed Jupiter's Legacy. I enjoyed First Kill. Again, it was like, okay, it wasn't bad and it wasn't great. It was just right on the line of like enjoyable enough and a fun time for me to go back and watch a second season. I really enjoyed the first season of The Witcher, which is very popular. Got greenlit for a season 2, got greenlit for a season 3, has had prequel spin-offs, but the season 2 of The Witcher was terrible in my opinion. So that's still got a season 3. It's coming, and that also doesn't really have big talent attached, unless you count Henry Cavill, of course. So, and that, especially The Witcher, that's a very eccentric, very specific niche sort of market that you're trying to target, and the audience that you're trying to target, Game of Thrones type fans. Similar to this, I feel like if anything, First Kill or Santa Clarita or Jupiter's Legacy are much more popular themes in pop culture these days. So it's just a little bit like disappointing that those don't progress, because you would think that they would. So again, I can see where they were coming from in trying to make this happen and market it and create it. But unfortunately, it didn't go any further than one season. So yes, it's been cancelled, will not be returning. The show was produced by Emma Roberts. A lot of people are understandably upset about this. I am one of the fans I'm upset. I mean, I'm not devastated, but I'm upset enough that this video is happening. So yeah, the problems that I had with the show, and another reason besides the fact that it wasn't getting the audience, and is the first thing is the marketing. Again, Netflix really just does not market their properties. So you can either be a Millie Bobby Brown, or you can end your run after one season and get cancelled. And unfortunately, that's how the cookie crumbles when you sign up with Netflix. So that's really what happened here. And these actors, knew that going into it. The other problems I had with this show were some of the special effects were a little bit cheesy. Some of them weren't. Some of them were pretty well done, but there was a lot of cheese in there. There was definite bad copying of the Vampire Diaries, with like the eye compelling thing and the speed running. It just, if you've seen the Vampire Diaries and then you watch this, you're watching the poor man's version. And I hate to say it that way, but really that's how I felt watching this. It is a downgrade. And yes, the expectation should be lowered, I guess, because it's a different show, but also not really. Like, the budget is the budget, and I guess you sort of have to prepare yourself going into it, watching this show, that's the quality you're going to get. But it's not like it was bad. Again, it was just, as someone who's seen better, it was definitely a step down in that sense. The other thing was the fact that the two lead actors that were supposed to be in a relationship, the chemistry was not there at all, first of all. Secondly, they both looked about 26, and I think one of them was in fact 26 when they're supposed to be playing 16-year-olds, and she looked like 30, and again, that's just casting issues. It's supposed to be this Romeo and Juliet love story. Literally, her name is Juliet. And again, I just didn't feel the connection. The writing wasn't there. Again, it's just issues like that I think didn't keep people coming back, as well as the marketing side of things with Netflix. So those reasons just didn't make it a super cool show for me to watch, such as Vampire Diaries or something else similar. That's the reason for me that I was like, okay with, I'm okay with not having a second season. I'm disappointed, I'm upset, but I'm not going to be devastated over this. So that's, I think, why a lot of people felt the same way, and why it didn't get the numbers that it should have, unfortunately. But, there were some really good moments in the show. There was some good writing in the show. There were some really cool scenes. I like the narrative style of the show, again, similar to the Vampire Diaries, which they took that from. I like the narrative. I liked the Juliet narrating, and then Calliope narrating, and you see sort of both sides of them and how they interpret events and how they do things. So that was kind of cool. So, look, the show is worth giving a try, but understand that you're not going to get a season 2. So if you're one of those people that can watch it and know it's going to end, and mind you, end without sort of closure, because a lot of these don't end wrapped up with a bow because they know they're going to have one season. They obviously anticipate more, so a lot of them don't shoot in a way that wraps the story up in a nice little bow. So just prepare yourself for that if you are going to give this show a shot. But in saying that, I would watch it if you like vampires and drama. It's worth watching. Same with Jupiter's Legacy, but yeah, you're not going to get a season 2. So unfortunately, First Kill has been cancelled after one season. So let me know what you guys think about this, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.